It's bigotry or prejudice displayed towards an individual or a group of people based on what is perceived to be their characteristics. There's usually a fairly narrow view of their characteristics. Mm-hmm. I mean, Scotland, as in many other countries around the world, I'm not saying that Scotland is unique in this at all. It's sectarianism is an issue in, I suspect, every country in the world. But yes, certainly sectarianism has been an issue in the past in Scotland and continues despite the many efforts that are being made to address it. And as I've said, I do think I feel pretty hopeful about the progress that has been made and that we are currently making in this area. I think, you know, from the Scottish Government and from the grassroots level, you know, all these layers, if you like, are really trying to make a big difference here, and I think they are achieving that in many ways. Lots to be done still, though. It often can be, and I think so often it's basically linked to lack of education. And what's really important about trying to address all of these issues is making sure that particularly our young people, but I mean all of the people in our society, are aware of well, the harm that they can do. I do think genuinely some people just don't really consider that, and it's a lot of this anti-sectarianism work that's going on is really about just educating people. So yes, absolutely, yes, it can be linked to that. Well, like I say, Scotland is not unique in this. It's, you know, you will find sectarianism in any country in the world, I'm sure. But, you know, really what we're all looking for is a Scotland that is just, where people are treated fairly and equally. We all want to live in a world like that. We all want our children to live in a world like that, and that is what we should always be aiming towards. Now, I think, you know, we have made big strides in recent years in this regard. There's still more to be done, but I think I think we are getting there, and I think events such as the recent one, the community event organised down at in Leith, is really valuable in helping to raise awareness about this. I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's so many things. It's the work that's being done at the Scottish Government level. It's the work that's being done at grassroots level. I mean, there are so many layers and different areas where this needs to be addressed. I think football clubs need to play their part, and I think they are. They really are. There's been a lot of movement there. And I think, again, really, it just comes back to education and people being made aware of the consequences of this sort of behaviour on other people. I mean, we all have heard the horror stories about murders and, you know, violence against people simply on this basis, and that's just completely unacceptable. We have to fight against that. But there's also the much, if you like, lower level stuff, but they're still incredibly hurtful, and, you know, it can eventually potentially lead to more severe forms. So, yeah, it's not one, unfortunately there is not one sort of single answer to this. It just really means all of us remaining vigilant and, you know, constantly arguing against this, fighting against it. But I feel very confident, actually. A lot of our young people seem to be much more aware of this, and certainly the young people the other day at the event were terrific. You really felt pretty hopeful for the future. I mean, there's been a considerable amount of work with equalities, for example. We do a lot of work with the Interfaith Association, of course. We hosted a reception not so long ago, actually, which was lovely. A load, you know, many different faiths all coming together to, I mean, it was interesting. One gentleman described it as, we're like a family now, because there has been a considerable amount of work done through the Interfaith Association with a variety of religious groups around the city. But oh no, I mean the council does do a lot of work in many different areas. In our schools, for example, it's obviously a big part of things as well.